Hi again guys, and welcome to episode 31 of Weekend Warriors, the review series for GranTurismo's sports cars, luxury sports cars, hardcore sports cars. There could be two-seaters or 2+2s, big or small. There's a huge amount of variation within the category. Now this particular vehicle is one of the bigger, more luxury-oriented GT style sports cars. It's not necessarily fast enough to be categorised in the Super Sports series, but at the same time, it's a very fast sports car. In fact, if you're talking just sports cars without moving up into Super Sports territory, this is one of the quickest sports cars in the game, especially for top speed. And the car in question is, of course, the Jaguar XK, and this is the XK Premium. It's a premium car as well on GranTurismo, but it's actually called the XK Premium Coupe, and it's the entry-level model of the XK lineup. And actually, this is my personal favourite version of the XK. I think it looks so much better than all of the uprated models that come after it. I can understand why people would like the XKRS, the GT version, etc., but for me personally, I just love the clean, simple, classy, elegant style of the entry level. And this is that model. It shows that off to its peak. Now, as far as spec, it is pretty expensive compared to some other sports cars in this series. It's a 113 grand vehicle, but for that, you do get some really impressive numbers. In fact, it's not that far behind vehicles like the XKR. You're looking at a 4.2 litre supercharged V8, rear-wheel drive, of course, and fully tuned. You're putting out really good numbers. 750 horsepower, 720 pound-feet of torque, and it does weigh 1,353 kilos, which, yes, that is heavier than something like a Lotus or other smaller sports cars like MX-5s, but considering the size of the car, the XK is a very big vehicle, and that it is a luxury model with a kitted out interior to the level of something that you'd expect from a Jag, then that's actually pretty good. That's lighter than some GTRs, for instance. That's lighter than the Chrysler 300C, which is a model that I bring up quite often to compare weight to. And overall, I would say that that weight is pretty good for this vehicle. It certainly doesn't feel that heavy. It handles its weight and handles its power extremely well. Now, speaking of that power, I mentioned that this was one of the quickest sports cars in the game. So what kind of speed are you looking at? Well, interestingly enough, a lot of the Jags actually fall around a very similar speed region. The XFR, the XK, the XKR, the XKRS, and the older model XKRs, including the R Performance, all hover around the 250 to 260 mile per hour region, with a couple of exceptions. But in general, that's the kind of speed zone that you're looking at. And funnily enough, that seems to be a common theme in the British cars of GranTurismo. Most of the Aston Martins also do around 240, 250, and most of the TVRs do around 240, 250. So I'm not going to go so far as to saying it's an arbitrary number that they've limited all the cars to, but it does seem kind of suspicious, and I have covered numerous British cars on GranTurismo before that are undeniably no way near as quick as they should be in comparison to the physics of other vehicles. Your Speed 12s, your McLaren F1s, your XJ220s, etc. But for now, we're discussing this model, and as far as this model goes, it's actually pretty quick. The top speed is good, it's around the mid to high 250 region. The acceleration, as you'd assume, is strong. The acceleration is good throughout its entire performance range. And although a supercharger isn't necessarily given as much respect as a turbo, it certainly does suit a vehicle like this. Now, as far as its horsepower per tonne, you may expect that to suffer a little bit due to the fact that it weighs more than some of the cars in this series. And although that is true, it certainly doesn't have the power to weight to rival stuff like TVRs, it's still 554 horsepower per tonne. And that's not bad at all. That's very impressive, in fact, for a vehicle of its weight. And as far as PP, I would also say it's really good. It only sits at 589 PP fully tuned. That's a really good level for such a powerful and fast car. And so that begs the question, what's it like around the track? Because of course, straight line performance is one thing, but if you can't take a corner, well, that makes it kind of useless. Well, I'm happy to say that all of the XKs, not just this one, but the older model, the newer models, the uprated models, they're all really good around the track. Some are of course better than others, and I would say that the XKR and of course the XKRS are a little bit better than this one, a little bit more focused, a bit sharper, but still, this car is superb around the track, and that's actually one of the reasons why I love it so much. This car offers the complete all-round package. Now, as far as overall value, a 113 grand sports car does have a lot to live up to. 113 grand is quite a lot of money for most Gran Turismo players, so you need to know that you're getting a good deal for that. And I would say, in the case of this particular XK, that you do. You really do get great value, because as I said, it is cheaper than all of the other XK models. Even some of the older ones, like the R Performance and even the 1999 shape XKR, is a more expensive vehicle, but for that, you get performance in a straight line which is virtually as good as any of those cars, handling which is maybe a little bit behind, but not much, lap times which again aren't that much behind, if slower at all, and all for a cheaper package which is less used by most people. So really, I would say that the ultimate deciding factor with this particular vehicle, or with any XKR that is, basically comes down to the question that's as simple as, which one do you prefer? Because they're all so good and also so similar that although some do have advantages over each other in terms of numbers, performance, trackability, they're so close and all so good at what they do that basically you should just pick which one you want, if of course you like any of them. Personally, I like this one the most, but I can understand why other people would prefer the higher level models, or maybe the older shaped vehicle in particular. But overall, I definitely recommend checking this car out, and that's it overall for this particular pick, so I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.